If you're watching this, then it already knows your IP address. I'm so sorry. I don't know how long I have. Honestly, I don't even know if uploading this will do anything except speed it up. But I have to try. I have to tell someone before I disappear like the rest of them. You weren't supposed to find this video. That's how it works. It doesn't go viral. It doesn't hit the algorithm. It doesn't trend. It shows up in the dead of night, buried deep under old playlists, or as an autoplay suggestion when you leave the room. It finds you, and once you've seen even a single frame, it starts watching back. Don't rewind. Don't screen record. Don't look away. It learns from every input. I know how that sounds. I sound crazy, right? That's what I thought too. At first. The first time, it was funny. Just a glitchy video that wouldn't play. Some weird joke on a tech forum. A late-night curiosity. You've seen 100 of those. But then things started happening. Little things. At first, it was just my Wi-Fi resetting on its own. Then files showing up on my desktop. Files I never downloaded. Images I didn't take. Audio I didn't record. Then I started hearing my own voice in them. That's when I realized it hadn't been a one-way stream. And I don't think it's just a video. I think it's a mirror. A digital one. Not reflecting who you are, but who you're becoming. Listen, I know how this sounds. But I've been piecing it together from what's left of the others. Old forum archives, deleted threads, one guy's broken podcast feed. They all describe it differently, but the pattern's the same. The timer, the static, the voice that says your name. There's a reason it only plays at 4:44 a.m. I don't know what happens if you watch it all the way through, but I think one of them did. If your lights flicker, if your screen glitches, if you see a version of yourself that isn't moving with you, get out. But it didn't start that way. It started with a Reddit post. It was one of those nights where sleep felt optional. You know the type, 2 a.m., lying in bed with the glow of your phone baking your eyeballs, scrolling Reddit like a raccoon digging through digital trash. I'd already read every "today I fucked up," every glitch in the Matrix, and had spiraled deep enough to find myself on a conspiracy subreddit I'd never seen before, r/data_hollows. I only clicked it because the username of the last poster was deleted, and I don't mean the account was deleted. I mean the name itself was just deleted. No brackets. No spacing. Just that. Weird, right? The post that led me there was a reply to a 3-year-old thread titled "Dark Web Streams That Shouldn't Exist." Half the links were dead. The rest led to generic creepypasta knockoffs. Old live streams of static, ARG bait, encrypted gibberish. But buried beneath all that was a single comment. It only plays at 4:44 a.m. Don't be early. Don't be late. /VanityNode 444-inch. No upvotes. No replies. No other activity from that account. Just that one single drop into the void. So naturally, I clicked the user profile. Nothing. Blank. Dead end. That's when I started digging. There was no mention of VanityNode 444 on Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, not even on the Wayback Machine. The only place it popped up again was on an archived thread from 2016, under a post called "Project KI is still active." Ask me anything. Most of it was obvious LARPing, the kind of edgy nonsense you scroll past at 3 a.m. and laugh about the next morning. But someone in the replies had posted a screenshot. The file name? mirror_zip. It was just a black video player with a paused frame. No title, no comments. Just a black thumbnail with a timestamp burned into the corner. 4:44. It looked like a live stream preview. But what kind of stream has a fixed thumbnail and no metadata? I assumed it was fake. But the comments under that post told a different story, if you could even call them comments. Most of them were just strings of numbers, some in reverse. One reply simply said, "Do not mirror the ring." Again, probably nothing. Just deep web LARP junk. But then I found something that actually made my stomach tighten. An old GitHub repo tied to Project KI, last updated in 2019. No README, no contributors, Just one file that had been uploaded and instantly removed. The title? Kai_mirror_node.dsm. I know I sound obsessive, but this was the kind of rabbit hole you don't realize you're falling into until the dirt is already over your head. Every dead end pointed towards something just out of reach. Like it had been scrubbed, not abandoned. By the time I looked up, it was 3:51 a.m. There was one final breadcrumb. In the r/data_hollows sidebar, which I swear hadn't been there an hour earlier, was an onion link. No context, no warning, just this. Mirror.ring444.onion, live. I remember just staring at it for a moment, feeling the kind of unease you usually only get from seeing your own reflection blink wrong. Everything about it screamed no, but it also screamed what if. Curiosity won. I clicked the onion link. I've used Tor before. Nothing dramatic, just curiosity, some dead-end.onion links, old conspiracy PDFs, the usual urban legend rabbit holes you tell yourself aren't real. But the moment I copied mirror.ring444.onion into the browser, something felt different. It didn't open with the usual blank screen or endless redirects. It just appeared, a stark, black background filled with shimmering white ASCII characters like a terminal from the 1980s. No logos, no menus, no banners, just a minimalist skeleton of a website. At the top, centered in blocky type, were the words, Vanity node //active. Beneath it, an embedded player sat frozen. No thumbnail, no scrub bar, no play button. Just one line of text flickering as if typed by an invisible hand. Reconnecting. T. 3 hours 49 minutes and 22 seconds. And below that, a second line of smaller text. Session reset at 4:44 Universal Time Coordinated. It wasn't a video. It was waiting for something. I refreshed the page. Same thing. I opened it in a second browser. Same thing. No source info, no registrar, nothing. Even a WHOIS check came back as NO node found. The site shouldn't even exist, at least not in any way I could trace. The chatroom sat underneath the player like an empty theater, a black rectangle with gray usernames and no visible typing indicators. Just rows and rows of old messages, most of them time-stamped years apart. Half were just symbols, circles inside circles, slashes, numbers. The last message was a single word, posted 44 days ago by someone named Chimera. Looking, no replies, no activity since. I scrolled further. The older logs were worse. Desperate-sounding fragments from people claiming to have seen it and heard their own voice in the static. Some begged for help. Some posted coordinates. Then, abruptly, silence. A graveyard of half-finished thoughts. And that countdown kept ticking. 3 hours 45 minutes and 13 seconds. 3 hours 45 minutes and 12 seconds. 3 hours 45 minutes and 11 seconds. Each second landing heavier than the last. I clicked on the player out of habit, but nothing happened, just the faint flicker of text updating. My mouse hovered over the word reconnecting, and the cursor turned into an hourglass, like an old Windows glitch. Somewhere in the scroll back of my brain, a piece of the puzzle clicked. I remembered seeing mirror_rings.zip in that old archive and a guy saying, "Don't mirror the ring." I thought it was ERG bait. Now I wasn't so sure. I tried to back out. The page didn't close. Not a freeze, just unresponsive. Like the tab was pretending to close. The browser still worked for everything else, but this tab clung like a second skin. And in that moment, as my eyes flicked between the countdown and the silent chatroom, I noticed something else. A new message had appeared in the log. No sound, no notification, just there. Still watching. No username. No timestamp. The seconds ticked down. 3 hours 44 minutes and 59 seconds. 3 hours 44 minutes and 58 seconds. In the chat's older archives, I saw whispers, People describing what happened when the player finally connected. Some said they blacked out and woke up hours later. Some said they watched themselves sleep. Others never posted again. Every instinct told me to close the tab, shut down the computer, throw it out the window if I had to. But the countdown kept ticking, and the player kept waiting. I should have closed the tab, but I didn't. I set my alarm for 4:43 a.m., not 4:44. I wanted to be early, over-prepared. I told myself this was just curiosity, nothing more. A test, an experiment, maybe even a glitch in some forgotten corner of the internet. When the alarm buzzed, I snapped awake, bleary-eyed and clutching my phone. The room was dark, except for the faint glow of my laptop screen. I reopened the tab, the countdown already hovering at 1 minute and 13 seconds. The embedded player flickered, then the screen cracked open like a shutter on some ancient camera. Static, noise, a low garbled hum, and then a figure. It was impossible to make out details. Shadows dripped like ink across the screen, the visuals grainy and blurred. The audio was reversed, a warped whisper that sounded eerily like a voice I knew. My voice. Or at least, what I hoped wasn't my voice. And then, for just a moment, it looked like me. A silhouette, slumped in the dark, barely visible. A flicker of movement, like a twitch or a blink. The figure's head tilted, almost like it was watching the camera, watching me. Then, abruptly, the player crashed. The entire browser froze, then shut down like someone yanked the power cable. My heart slammed against my ribs. I sat there, staring at the blank screen, wondering if I'd just imagined it. But I wasn't the only one. After scouring forums and whisper networks, I learned that some users had recorded longer footage, up to 5 minutes or more. They described the same blurry figure, distorted audio, and fleeting glimpses of their own faces reflected in the shadows. But every single one reported their computers crashing or worse. One user claimed their screen had gone completely black, then switched to static, with a voice whispering their name. No one ever uploaded those recordings again. I told myself it was just a coincidence. A trick of the mind mixed with some overactive paranoia. The glitches, the reversed audio, the crashing browser, all explainable. Just corrupted data or badly coded players. But deep down, I knew something was watching back. The screen was empty now. Silent. Like a trap sprung, but caught nothing. I should have stopped then. But the second attempt is when things changed. I told myself I wouldn't open it again. I even unplugged the laptop, shoved it into a drawer, tried to sleep with the weight of exhaustion pressing on my eyelids. But sometime after 3 in the morning, curiosity clawed through the fog of common sense. At 4:43 a.m., I pulled the laptop back out. My fingers trembled as I opened Tor. The page was still there, exactly as I'd left it. Black screen, ASCII header, and that pulsing line of text. Only this time, the player didn't say reconnecting. It said, connected, session live. The countdown hit 0. The screen flickered. Static poured like sand across the display, slow and heavy. Then the shapes began to emerge. This time it wasn't just shadows, it was a room. My room. Same bedspread, same poster peeling in the corner, even the dent in the carpet where my chair sat. But I wasn't holding the camera. The view was from above, a third-person angle I'd never seen before. And there, lying on the bed, was me. It showed me getting up, but I was still in bed. The figure on screen sat up, rubbed its eyes, swung its feet to the floor. Meanwhile, I stayed perfectly still, frozen in front of the laptop, staring at my own sleeping form on the screen. The reversed audio started again, louder this time, like an insect crawling across a microphone. Words began to coil out of it, backwards syllables shaping into something I could almost understand. You were never alone. I ripped off my headphones. The sound didn't stop. It filled the room like a low electrical hum. On screen, my doppelganger walked to the door. It opened. Two silhouettes stood there, blurry, faces smudged into nothing. They knocked once, twice, then the footage jumped, glitching into static before I could see more. The chat window beneath the player came alive for a moment, lines of gray text spilling upward. Names I didn't recognize. Symbols. Then, suddenly, it all cleared, leaving just one line in bold. Session will continue tomorrow. And the feed cut to black. I sat there, heart racing, eyes locked on my own reflection in the dark laptop screen. The room was silent again. Nothing at the door. Nothing in the hall. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted, like the floor had tilted and I hadn't noticed until now. I went back to the forums, the archived threads, the scattered whispers of people who had watched. I started noticing a pattern. They always posted 3 times. First post, curiosity. Second post, confirmation of seeing themselves. Third post, usually a frantic warning, incomplete, cut off mid-sentence. And then nothing. Accounts abandoned. Threads locked. Posts deleted. No one ever made a 4th post. If this sounds familiar, comment with 444 saw me too. Seriously, I need to know I'm not alone in this. I tried to laugh at myself. Just some digital ghost story, right? The internet has a million of them. ARGs, viral marketing, bots designed to creep you out. But the sound of that reversed voice was still in my ears, even with the laptop closed. The rest of the day, I kept glancing at my door, waiting for a knock that never came. My phone buzzed once with an unknown number and no message. My browser history wouldn't delete the link to the mirror site, no matter how many times I cleared it. I thought I was hallucinating, until the knock came. It arrived the next morning. No signature, no courier I recognized. Just a small, square box left on my doorstep like a polite threat. The label had no return address, no postage marks, just my name printed in a font I didn't recognize. Thin, spidery letters that looked almost hand-drawn. Inside was a mirror. It wasn't big, maybe the size of a dinner plate, but heavy, like the glass had been poured from lead. Around the edge ran a band of etched symbols, circles folding into circles, identical to the ones flashing in the video's chat logs. When I tilted it under the light, the markings seemed to shift, not like ink, but like something alive under the surface. It didn't just reflect me. It watched back. For a heartbeat, I swore my reflection blinked out of sync. My hand twitched, and the mirror's image twitched half a second later. Not reversed, delayed. Like it wasn't reflecting the present at all, but showing something that had already happened. Or something that was about to. That's when I remembered an old phrase buried in one of those threads: causal mirrors. A myth about objects that don't just show reality, but set it. Allegedly, a failed DARPA experiment leaked to the deep web sometime in the 2000s. People said Project KI was the code name, a mirror network designed to predict or create future events through observation alone. Supposedly, the prototypes were all destroyed. Supposedly. I searched for images of the same mirror online. Nothing. But in a ghosted-out forum cache from 3 years ago, I found one reference. A username, Chimera, claiming they'd received an identical object after viewing the 444 stream. Their post included a photo, a blurry shot of a mirror ringed with symbols. But when I clicked the image link, it was gone. Not 404. Not removed. Just gone. Even the Wayback Machine couldn't recover it. The mirror sat on my desk now, angled just enough to catch my reflection on the edge of my vision as I typed. Each time I glanced at it, I felt the same vertigo as watching myself sleep on the video. The symbols glowed faintly in the low light of my room. I wanted to throw it away, smash it, but my hands wouldn't move. I felt like if I broke it, the feed would never reconnect. Like it was waiting for me to look again at 444. Then came the final video. By the 3rd night, I wasn't pretending anymore. I wasn't curious or brave or even skeptical. I was desperate. Desperate to prove it was real. Desperate to control it. desperate to know if anyone else was watching. So I set everything up. I bought a brand new laptop, still sealed in the box. Clean Tor install. Fresh VPN credentials. A camera on a separate tripod recording the screen. My phone streaming live to a private Discord server I created just for this, to catch whatever the mirroring video tried to do. At 4:30 a.m., my room looked like a crime scene. Cables, blinking LEDs, my face pale and jittery under the glow of the monitor. I wasn't taking chances this time. I thought the logic of documentation might hold the horror at bay, like a scientist in a lab coat standing between themselves and the virus. At 4:41, the countdown appeared again. Connected, session live. No reconnecting. No timer. Just the player already active, static building like frost over a window. I checked my watch. 4:42, but the stream was already running. The footage showed my room again, but not as it was. It showed this moment, my laptop, my tripod, me sitting in front of the screen. Only the angles were wrong, like the feed was shot from a higher corner of the room where no camera existed. And then it shifted. The video began to move ahead of me. The version of me on screen reached out for the keyboard. I hadn't yet. The version of me adjusted the tripod. I hadn't touched it. I was watching myself in a future only a few seconds ahead, like a glitching premonition. My stomach lurched. I reached for my phone to start the backup recording. On screen, my doppelganger was already holding it. The audio started low and reversed, then warped into a voice, no longer disguised by static. You were never alone. It was louder this time. Clearer. Male and female at once, a chorus behind my own breath. Then the figure appeared. Not a shadow now, but a person-shaped void bleeding through the pixels like ink. The edges of the screen warped, the timestamp pulsing 4:44 even though my clock still read 4:43. It stepped closer to the camera. I watched it loom behind my on-screen self. I twisted around in real life, nothing there. But on the feed, it reached out and touched my shoulder. The screen glitched. My shoulder burned cold. The figure pointed at me through the screen. Then my camera cut out. I lunged for the backup laptop. Dead. My phone froze midstream and rebooted itself. Even the overhead light dimmed, then flared, casting my room into a strobing nightmare. I tried to shut the browser. The cursor moved a split second before my hand, like the computer already knew what I was doing. On screen, my future self stood up. Slowly, mechanically, walked toward the mirror ring on the desk. I stayed in my chair, breathing hard. But the version of me on screen turned, staring straight into the camera, and whispered my name. Not my username. Not hey, my actual name. Time glitched. The clock on my wall spun backward. The stream's timestamp froze, then jumped to 4 hours 44 minutes and 44 seconds. Then 4 hours 43 minutes and 12 seconds. Then 4 hours and 45 minutes. The feed looped back into itself, showing me watching the feed, the mirror glowing like an open wound. I don't know how long it lasted. Maybe seconds. Maybe hours. I only know that when the lights stabilized, the feed was black again. My tripod camera's SD card? Blank. The footage I tried to stream to Discord? Deleted. Not corrupted, deleted. Even the autosave log's gone. I've tried to upload the raw footage since then, but it deletes itself before the progress bar even finishes. All that's left is the memory and this account. If you've seen it too, if your feed glitched, if the mirror found you, leave a comment. Say 444 saw me too. I need to know I'm not the only one still here. Because this is the last thing I'll upload before it finds me again. If you're still watching, then maybe you're already caught in this. I'm not sure how much time I have left, or if I even have a choice anymore. My hands are shaking as I type this. I can barely hold the camera steady. Every noise in the apartment sounds like footsteps. Every shadow feels alive. More people have started talking about it. The countdown. The mirror. The way the clock seems to tick backwards just before 4:44 a.m. Forums are lighting up with strange posts, some from users who say the timer appeared on their phones, others claiming they found strange symbols etched somewhere in their rooms overnight. And the worst part? The video, or what's left of it, is still out there. There's a file called mirroring.mp4, a corrupt, glitchy video that only plays for a few seconds before it crashes. It's vanished from most servers, but it still exists on one hidden node, deep in the dark web. I can't link it here, and even if I could, you shouldn't try to download it. Or maybe you should. Maybe some of you want to see. If you want to see, the download link I had used to work. Now it's dead, just like the channels of anyone who watched the video more than once. If you're brave or foolish enough, I dare you to check your clock tomorrow. If it's 4:44 a.m., don't look at the screen. Don't watch, because it watches you back. If you've ever felt time slip in strange ways, or caught a glimpse of symbols that don't belong in this world, leave a comment. Share your story. Maybe together we can decode the mirror symbols. Maybe we can understand what Project KI really was. But be careful, because the more you know, the harder it is to forget. This isn't over. Not for me. Not for you. Not for anyone who stares at that cursed clock. So before you close this video, take a moment to ask yourself, what happens if you do look? You won't believe me. Not yet. But check your clock tomorrow. If it's 4:44 a.m., don't look at the screen. Cut to black. One single frame flashes briefly. You watch too.